Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Greenville, North Carolina. I want to thank you. And to Mike Pence. Done a great job. Great vice president. Thank you, Mike. And we have all night. We can have a lot of fun tonight. I have nothing to do. Nothing. We have nothing to do but make our country great again, and that's happening fast. It's wonderful to be back in this beautiful state with thousands of hardworking North Carolina patriots, and thank you for your support. And thank you for that very big victory we had 3 years ago. Time is flying. You getting ready? Let's do it again, right? Let's do it again. I just heard that the United States House of Representatives has overwhelmingly voted to kill the most ridiculous project I've ever been involved in, the resolution, how stupid is that, on impeachment. I want to thank those Democrats because many of them voted for us. The vote was a totally lopsided 332 to 95 to 1. 332 to 95. Think of it. We have the strongest economy in history, the lowest unemployment numbers ever. We've rebuilt the most powerful military. It was totally depleted when I took office, and now it's rebuilt. We passed the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts of any president or any administration in history. We took care of our great vets, including Veterans' Choice and Veterans' Accountability. And they want to try and impeach. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So now we have that behind us. And I have to say this, and I'll say it just once. What happened to me with this witch hunt should never be allowed to happen to another president of the United States. Never, ever again. And I want to thank Republican leadership for what they've done for all of us by stopping that hoax, the Russian hoax, I call it. Because America is winning again, America is respected again, and because we are finally putting America first. Our economic policy can be summed up in three very beautiful and simple words: jobs, jobs, jobs. We've created 6 million new jobs since Election Day. If I would have said that, nobody would have believed it. If I would have said that, the fake news would have said he's exaggerating. And I wouldn't have said it because I wasn't even sure we could do it. Think of it, 6 million jobs since Election Day. And by the way, North Carolina has had its best economic year in the history of your state. Our country's added more than 180,000 people to the workforce. And think of that. Through what we've done on a federal basis, you picked up over 180,000 jobs, North Carolina. Think of that. And you have your lowest unemployment rate. You have a lot of good things, but let's not talk too much about North Carolina. Let's win this election nationwide. You remember North Carolina? That was going to be the Clinton firewall. She spent a fortune here, and I kept coming in and coming out. They called it earned media. I earned it. I kept coming in and coming out. And every time I left, I said, I don't think we're losing North Carolina. You know what? I was right. We won it. We won it easily. We won it easily. So I just want to thank everybody. Seriously, this was a big, that was a big deal. November 8th, that was a big deal. Donald Trump has won the great state of North Carolina. A big deal. That was when you started to see the folks at a certain other convention. Beautiful looking place. One of the most beautiful venues I've ever seen, but I don't want any part of it. It was unlucky. I don't want any part. But that's when you saw the people say, what the hell is going on? What's happening? And then it was state after state. It was Florida. It was South Carolina. We love South Carolina, right? Better believe it. It was Pennsylvania. Remember, they wouldn't announce the numbers in Pennsylvania. So there was 1% of the vote remaining. If I lost every one of those votes, we still win by a lot. And they wouldn't announce it. They wouldn't announce it. And then we won the great state of Wisconsin. First time in many, many decades that a Republican won. And then we had a surprise, but not a surprise to us, because we're bringing back the auto industry, brought so much back, to the great state of Michigan. That was a shocker. Remember that? You remember a certain hand on that beautiful board? And they said, you know, this board is getting awfully red. That's Republican. There's a lot of red up there. We had a lot of, that was one hell of a night, wasn't it, though? I think it was maybe, you know, there are those that say one of the most extraordinary and exciting evenings in the history of television and the history of anything. And, you know, you can go all over the world. In some cases, it was morning. You go to Asia, you go to Europe, you go all over. It was just record-setting. And here's the point. We have to do it again. We have to do it again. And the reason we have to, not only to do new things, which we will, and, you know, statutorily, and we had all sorts of artificial witch hunts over our head. Can you imagine if we didn't have to go through that hoax? I don't know that we would have done any better. To be honest with you, I think we've done more in 2.5 years than any president ever. First 2.5 years. But could you imagine what it could have been if we didn't have the witch hunt? You said it. You said it. I won't say it because it's a terrible word. So I will not say that this guy said if we didn't have the bullshit. That's right. No, could you imagine if we didn't have the time wasted, the time and everything? Can you imagine? And you know, a friend of mine said, maybe you wouldn't have done as well. Is that possible? That could happen. Maybe we would have had too much time in our hands. Who knows? But I can say nobody in their first 2.5 years has done anywhere close to what we, not me, what we've all done. So the unemployment rate among African Americans is the lowest in the history of our country. Unemployment among Hispanic Americans, where we're doing really well. You know why? Because they want a strong border. They want it because they understand the border better than anybody. They want that strong border. They want that wall that's being built right now. They want that wall. And they really do. They understand the border better than anybody. And they don't want criminals coming in. They don't want crime coming in. They don't want to lose their jobs. They like the fact that their salaries are going up. Their wages are going up. They understand it better. So Hispanic American, the best unemployment numbers in our history. Asian Americans, the best unemployment numbers in our history. And likewise, women, 74 years. So I'm sorry, women, I let you down. It's not in our history, but we're going to be there very soon. We're going to be there very soon. Women are doing incredibly, and women, the men are going to get angry. Sorry, men. Whoa! Look at all those signs. Women for Trump. Wow, thank you. It's a lot of signs. You remember last election? Donald Trump will never, ever get the women. Then we got this tremendous number of women. We got this tremendous number of women, and during the election night, they said, what's going on? You know what's called? Suppression polls. Suppression. Polls are just as fake as the news itself, but women filled 60%, and I'm sorry to tell you this, men, they're going to sue me for discrimination now. Women filled 60% of all of the new jobs created last year. Women took 60%. What's wrong with you, men? What's wrong with you? But the radical Democrats are trying to destroy all of our country's tremendous achievement and our country's tremendous success. Unprecedented. We've had unprecedented success. Leaders come in from other countries, prime ministers, presidents, kings, queens, dictators sometimes, I hate to say it, dictators. And they all start off by saying, Mr. President, I'd like to congratulate you on the incredible economy that you've created, the greatest anywhere in the world by far. And sadly, China, who I have a very good relationship with President Xi, I really like him, but China has had, yesterday was announced, the worst year in 27 years. And we've had the best. And if our opponent ever got into office, instead of being up 62%, instead of those 401ks of yours being up 60, 70, 80, 90%, crash. Big crash. You would have had a crash the likes of which we have never seen before if they got in office. Because we freed up our country, we freed up our economy, especially with regulation cuts, but also with those big, beautiful tax cuts. We freed it up. The leading voices of the Democrat Party are left-wing extremists who reject everything our nation stands for. But again, I have to tell you, this vote was so big. I have to thank many of the Democrats. I mean, that was an amazing. No, I really do. I respect it. I really do. That was a slaughter. But many of those people that voted for us this afternoon, in somewhat of a sneak attack, a real sneak attack, many of those people that voted for us were Democrats, and I want to thank them because they did the right thing for our country.
Am I the reason you get stoned every week now? Build up integrity, got you texting, emailing me, wanting me to feel with you. Baby, just face reality, move on.
Sometimes it's hard to face reality.